Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to a new episode of Miss Strategy's Middlegame Strategy. Well, maybe that was a very long title, but anyway, this is the Middlegame show with me, Anna Rudolph. And today we will be talking about the tournament that has just finished, the London Chess Classic. Have you been following the action every day as I did? It was such an impressive event, of course. The whole Grand Chess Tour is an incredible event, and luckily for us there will be Grand Chess Tour next year as well. The events are already announced, so I'm so happy that this same tournament will be back. The Paris, the Leuven, Rapid and Blitz events, the Sinkfield Cup in the US, the London Chess Classic, and the Sinkfield Cup will even add a Rapid and Blitz event too, so there are more and more events each year. Luckily for us, because they are so spectacular, the best players in the world fight against each other. Really cool stuff, and the London Chess Classic was so exciting from the start to the end. Vasily So took 2 points out of 2 and then kept his lead for the whole event. Actually, for him to win the Grand Chess Tour, he only needed the 3rd place, but he won the London Chess Classic too, so by winning the Sinkfield Cup and the London Chess Classic, he won the entire Grand Chess Tour. Very well deserved victory. Congratulations, Vasily, and also congratulations to everybody who participated, because for us, they have made a great show. It was a lot of fight. Even the draws were very much fought draws. There was never a boring game, so I think we cannot complain about how those elite players are giving us entertainment. Tell me in the comments here on the chat on Chess24 or in a YouTube comment, how did you like the event? Which players are your favorite? Who were you rooting for? Which games are your favorite? For me, of course, it was also incredible to see the event because apart from the elite players, there have been hundreds of children. So the London Chess Classic is not only a super tournament, but it's also a great chess festival where hundreds of children participate. There are free events the whole week for kids from different schools, and that's really nice to see. Also, they make the first move in each round, and I think that's a big thing for a kid, that they might make the first move on the board of their favorite player. They might be very impressed by this, and maybe this will be such a memory for them that they start to train more and they will become world champions one day. So all in all, I love the London Chess Classic, and I'm really happy that all these events will be back next year as well. You know that I was a commentator both at the Paris and at the Leuven event, and who knows, next year I hope to be part of it too, either as a commentator, reporter, or as a viewer, because I enjoy both sides of chess, of course, when it's work and when it's a pleasure to watch chess. Let's get into the topic, which is the London Chess Classic, as I said, and we will begin with a game of Vasily So, since he's the winner. I see that I'm a bit like short with this camera view, but anyway, I can try to sit on my legs or something, because I believe the person who was recording before me, this is the Spanish studio of Chess24, must be much taller than me, because I see a huge gap there. Anyway, besides that I'm short, I also prepared 2 games from the London Chess Classic. As I said, the first is by Vasily So, and the second one is a game of Vishy Anand. I chose these games because I like them, and I think that you have liked them too. Very nice games, pretty moves, pretty maneuvers, you will see. And also I chose them because they are linked to our topic. What is our topic this month? Our topic is the bishop pair. So we will see 2 games from the London Chess Classic from the angle of the bishop pair. So even if you know these games, I think this session will be very useful, because we will not only see the games, but side variations that could have arisen from those games, and see how you should play with the pair of bishops. In both games, the winner of the game will be playing with the pair of bishops. So let's see that game, because I talk a lot, but we need a chessboard too, I guess. And this is the game of Vishy Anand, which will be our second game. Let's start with Vasily So against Mickey Adams in the first round of the London Chess Classic. And if you have seen this game, you know that This was a Catalan and the open Catalan variation, which is the d takes c4 here. And as usual, we will not discuss theory, but this is a very normal position. In the open Catalan, black places his bishop on c6 because if he didn't do that, it's very difficult to develop that piece. So he places it on c6, and often he will even capture the knight on f3. And that's how we will get a bishop pair position, because this bishop often exchanges the knight on f3 in order to develop the rest of the pieces and weaken the d4 pawn. So let's see how that happens. a5 is a very normal move too. This knight might come from a6 to b4. The b4 square is weak in these openings for white, but of course white has more space and better developed pieces, so more activity. b4 square is weak, but you have more activity. As usual in chess, these things are dynamic, so this position is quite a complex position. I like it. Maybe for some people it's boring, but I do like the complexity that there are weak squares, but at the same time black lacks some space. You need to do something about the c6 bishop. But I said I will not talk about the opening, so knight c3, rook a6. Once again, it's a normal maneuver. Queen d3 and rook b6. Looks weird, but this is the way to activate this rook. You see that now it's attacking the b2 pawn, and then the knight might join as well. Queen c2, h6, it's a good idea to ask the bishop what he wants to do, whether he wants to capture on f6 or retreat. Bishop d2 was played, and now after bishop b4, rook f e1, bishop takes f3. Here we go. As I said, it's normal in this variation to take the knight and then our knight can jump to c6. So the c6 square was occupied by the bishop, but you want it at the same time for the knight. Well, you need to get rid of one of those pieces in order to develop the knight to c6. And after e3, the pawn was hanging on d4. e5 was played by Mickey Adams, and I think this might be the first inaccurate move. Perhaps it was better to play queen e7 and then bring the rook to d8, prepare to push e5, because after e5, I think he gets into a slight trouble. It's not a big deal. Maybe this position is okay. This is just my personal opinion, so you might analyze it with the engine and say that, no, Anna, what you are saying is silly. I believe he had time to prepare e5 by playing queen e7, and by rushing with this move, he allows a move for white that gives some advantage. So it's not like, it's not a blunder. It will be a tiny little advantage for white, but it's an edge, a small edge. What would you play here as white after e5? So you have the pair of bishops. It doesn't mean that you have to have it forever. How to react after e5? What do you think is the best move? Let's see. Well done, I have seen the right move by Vanak, Nurspiel and Kent Ehring. I hope that I pronounced those usernames correctly. Thanks everyone for the opinions. Of course, it's not an easy position, and you know that when we have the bishop pair, we want to keep it because we like it. But as I said, don't have this idea that you should always forever keep the bishops. Sometimes we will change the bishop pair for another kind of advantage. So here bishop takes c6 is a good move, because if black takes back, we have just won a pawn. So we give up the bishop pair for winning the pawn. That's cool, isn't it? After d takes c5, there's just no way to win back the pawn, because we will strengthen our pawn chain with f4. So this position is an advantage for white, of course. That's why after bishop takes c6, this is of course a move that Adams had foreseen. He did not blunder. E takes d4 is what he was planning, and he did play e takes d4. And now if we take back on d4, then black would simply capture the bishop, and this is not the position we wanted. We have given up our most beautiful piece, the fianchetto bishop or fianchetto bishop, both pronunciations are fine, I believe, in chess. But now look at the position without this g2 fianchetto bishop, and our pawn has been weakened. It's an isolated, weak pawn. We have given up our best bishop. There's no bishop pair anymore. This position is better for black. So careful about giving up that piece and weakening your pawn structure. The idea behind bishop takes c6 is that after e takes d4, Vasily wants to keep the bishop. He goes back and he offers the knight instead of the bishop. So the c3 knight can be taken, but not the bishop. The g2 bishop, or in this case the f3 bishop, is your best piece. Keep it on the board. D takes c3, and now how do we take back? Well, since we are talking about the bishop pair, of course this is b takes c3. Do not exchange bishops unless you are winning something with it. Keep it on the board if you can, and especially if it's an open position. Bishops love open positions. I say it all the time, and I know that it's boring, but it's true. Bishops love open positions, and this position is getting open. There are open files already and some diagonals, so yes, bishops love this position. Bishop c5. And now I want you to think once again, but I don't want a single move. I want a plan. So look at the pieces, look at white's pieces, and decide which pieces are left to improve. And how do you improve those pieces? So I want to hear several moves. Where do you place which piece in order to improve all your pieces? Let's see. Good job everybody! I have seen several great ideas there in the chat. Let's discuss them all. Of course, it's important to develop the rooks because Especially the a1 rook is not doing anything at the moment, but even pieces that have been developed, such as the d2 bishop, it's necessary to improve them, because the bishop on d2, yes, it's developed, but yes, it's ugly. It's not doing anything. It's like a huge pawn. It doesn't have a diagonal. You need to activate this bishop, and many of you have noted that you must push either e4 or c4 in order to activate this bishop. Now, the difference between these two pawn pushes is that e4 closes the diagonal of the light squared bishop. So e4, I'm not saying it's a bad move, but it has a disadvantage. It's blocking the f3 bishop, and this bishop has such a lovely diagonal. It's attacking the b7 pawn. So for the moment, I would not play e4. Maybe we will play it in the future, because it's always good to expand in the center, but at the moment it's better to push c4, and we will place this bishop on c3, and that's the way to activate it. Also, after c4, the a5 pawn is hanging. That's important to note. That's a weakness, so we are attacking it. This is weak. The b7 pawn is also a target, so those two pawns, black will need to look after those pawns. What about the rooks? Where to place the rooks? It's always a big question in every game. I think in all my games I'm like, where shall I place the rooks? Because if there are open files, it's kind of obvious. But in this position, I have seen that many of you mentioned rook a d1, which is a very tempting move. Sorry, instead of c4, because c4 doesn't have to be played immediately. Of course, it's a plan that we are talking about. Rook a d1 is a good move, I believe, but maybe not the best, because it's true that we are placing the rook on the same file where the queen is, and this is an open file. But there is another open file, or semi-open file. I can't pronounce the word file. It's not a fly. I don't have any here, neither mosquitoes, but an open file is the D file, and the semi-open file is the B file. And even more annoyingly, black has already placed a rook on the B file. Do we want him to have the B file for him, or will we challenge him and get that file for ourselves? I think you would all say that you don't want to give the opponent an extra free file, like the B file is yours, take it. No, we will challenge him. We will place one rook on the B file and the other rook on the D file. Also, if you think about placing the A rook on D1, and you don't push E4, you play rook a D1 if you push E4. In this way, yes, you are playing in the center. So this is a plan, and the other plan is to place one rook on B1 and the other on D1 and push C4. And this is what Wesley went for. So let's see how it turned out. Both are possible, and I'm really happy for everybody who noticed that the D2 bishop had to be improved, plus the rooks need open files. Rook A1, rook A B1, sorry, and rook D6 was played if he captured on B1. Then you simply take back. After B6, now no pawns are hanging, but it doesn't matter. We still play C4, that's what we wanted, to activate the dark squared bishop. And after bishop C3, there's nothing going on, and yet we are progressing each and every time. With every move, white is improving his position. So the bishop will go to C3, the rook will go to D1, and there is nothing going on, and yet it's going to be even more unpleasant with each and every move. Well, not even more unpleasant, this is a tiny advantage, but what I'm saying is that white will improve his position with every move. Let's see how Wesley did it. So sorry, I'm always mixing the order of the names since I'm Hungarian, and in Hungary we say the other way around. Rook a b1, rook d6, and now rook e d1. This is what we wanted, and then we will play c4 and bishop c3. The move order was not so important. What was important is to discover the idea. b6, c4, and after queen e7, bishop c3. Look at our pieces. All of the pieces are developed and they are all happy. It's true that after b6, this rook on b1 is not as happy as it was before, but still, this is a semi-open file, and I believe that this rook will end up on d1 because we will exchange the rooks. So rook f d8, and now once again you will need to think. And since this is a middle game show with Miss Strategy, there's nothing direct. There's no combination, no sacrifice, nothing, no direct attack. What you need to do is to keep on improving your position. So find a move or moves for white that can improve his position a little bit. It's not much that we are asking for from the position. All we want is to improve just a little bit from this position to the next one. With every move, just a small improvement. How to do that? Let's discuss it because I have seen many suggestions. Some of them actually are the move that Wesley So played. Others are a bit more aggressive than Wesley's plan. Yes, he wants to go for an endgame, so have that in mind when you are planning how to improve the position. He will sooner or later exchange rooks on the d file, so it's actually possible to do it right now, but you can do it at any moment. So if there's a way to improve the position before exchanging rooks, then do it now, because if you see that your opponent doesn't have useful moves, then this is the moment for you to make a small move or small moves that improve the position, but the plan is still the same. We will exchange rooks on the d file and we will play a pleasant endgame with the two bishops. But before that, let's just take advantage of black not being able to improve his position. So king g2 is a great idea, I think. Also, bishop b2. This is a slightly mysterious move. When I first saw it, I was also not sure why it happened. But it's true that sometimes, first of all, the c4 pawn could be hanging. Secondly, after exchanging everything on d1, our queen will be on d1, which means that maybe black will jump to e4 with his knight and the bishop would be hanging on c3. There are a few reasons for moving the bishop. Also, after bishop b2, you might want to place the queen on c3. So there are some thoughts behind bishop b2. The point is that in this position, you can go bishop b2, you can go king g2, or you can exchange rooks. What I'm saying is that I really recommend that when your opponent has no useful moves, when he has no active plan, make a few moves like king g2, bishop b2. Even if it doesn't change much the position, you are improving. Very tiny little bit improving the position, and also you are making your opponent nervous because he doesn't have good moves and he is just waiting for you to do something. So chess is also a psychological battle. Don't forget that. These moves are useful because they improve a bit, and they also make the opponent feel bad about his position. He has no way to improve his one. So yeah, this is the right way to play in these kind of positions. Tiny little moves, even if it doesn't change much in the position, it improves yours and it doesn't help the opponent. King g2 or bishop b2, both are great. After queen e6, now Wesley took on d6 and rook d1 was played. You see, this is the position I was mentioning, that after the queen is on d1, maybe some knight e4 move could be possible. But wait a second, why I'm talking about knight e4 when the pawn on c4 is hanging? So has Wesley just blundered? Yeah, that's something you must answer. What happens after queen takes c4? Why is he giving up the c4 pawn? Let's see. Let's discuss what happens after queen takes c4. Of course, there is a very tempting candidate move here, which is, well, there are two very tempting ones. Bishop takes f6 and queen d8 check. So queen d8 was the move suggested by many of you. And here, king h7 or bishop f8 are the moves you must take into account for the opponent. So your idea would be to win back the pawn on f6, which is, of course, something that we must consider. You must calculate this position and see, how do you like this position? Well, it's true that we have regained the pawn, but careful, the a4 pawn is also hanging, and if it's captured, and why not, black can capture it and he should capture it. This is an opposite colored bishop endgame where we are a pawn down and it doesn't really seem to be compensated for. I mean, of course, it doesn't mean we are losing, but we were playing for a win and now we are fighting for a draw. So this is not the best, but you must calculate this. Of course, I should calculate it too. Whenever you are faced with a position like this, candidate moves, we have bishop takes f6 or queen d8. So we have calculated queen d8. Now let's calculate bishop takes f6. After bishop takes, g takes. And well, if queen d8, it could lead to the same, or even queen d8, king g7, you should calculate. So the point of bishop takes f6 is not queen d8 check, but another move. And the other move is that we want to place this queen as close to the black king as possible, either on h5 or on g4. If the black queen leaves the fourth rank, we don't want to exchange queens. So we want to place our queen on some of those squares, but the bishop is in the way. So the solution is to play bishop d5, winning a tempo, attacking the queen. This queen has to stay on the fourth rank if he wants to prevent queen g4. But anyway, we play queen h5, and now look at the f7 pawn and look at the h6 pawn and look at the black king. So horribly weak. This is just really bad for black. So we are at least winning back the pawn and we have a huge attack. With opposite colored bishops, the thing is that you definitely have seen endgames with opposite colored bishops. So when it's only the bishop against the other bishop, often it's a draw. But with more pieces on the board, especially if you can attack the opponent's king, opposite colored bishops can be really exciting to play. Because if you are attacking, look at this position, we are attacking on the light squares. So it means that black's bishop can never ever defend on those squares. He has it on the dark squares. It can never transfer to the light squares. So in opposite colored bishop positions, if you are attacking, it is like a virtual piece up. You have an extra piece in the attack and black cannot use his bishop to protect the f7 pawn or anything around the light squares. So this is important with opposite colored bishops. If you are attacking, you have a big advantage. You have a piece more in the attack. So this position is really cool. Yes, there's a check, and yes, black can bring back the queen. It's good to bring the queen to the defense. It's a very important defending piece, not only attacking piece. But anyway, this position is bad because the kingside pawns are horrible pawn structure, and also we will pick up at least the c7 pawn, but the attack is still going on against the f7 square, which means that the queen can never abandon the f7 square. So this is horrible because black's pieces will be passive all the time and whites are active. It's not winning on the spot, but this is a very pleasant position, and this is an advantage because black cannot do anything and he has a bad pawn structure. So the combination of the two makes this position almost lost. There was a question before I asked this queen takes c4 move, and I want to answer it because it's true that I could have mentioned as well in this position when I asked you what tiny little move would you make in order to improve the position, and Wesley played bishop b2, another suggestion was king g2, and also I have seen in the chat h4, and that's an option too, of course. I'm not saying it's bad, neither that it's good. I don't have an evaluation on it yet. I think it's possible to play h4, but I want to warn you that whenever it's a position, when you want to improve the position just a bit, don't change the position dramatically, and dramatically might mean, sorry, I'm clicking here and there. So dramatically might mean pawn moves as well, because pawns can never go backwards. So you might play bishop b2 and maybe 5 moves later you go back to c3 with the bishop. It's possible, but if you play h4, it is forever. That pawn will never go back, it can only go forward. So this sounds like a beginner's course, but you must remember this feature of the pawn. It is so important. h4 looks like a very active move, but if you are not sure that this pawn should stay on h4 in the endgame as well, or what is the pawn on h4 will do 20 moves later, then don't push it yet. You might regret it if the g4 square will be weak. If something happens, you might regret it and you cannot take it back, you cannot go backwards. So h4 is a possibility, but I'm saying in general that careful about pawn moves in positions where you just want to improve a little bit, because pawns are not going backwards. And yes, I know I said it many times, but this is true. Let's see the position of the queen d1 and not queen c4, that was not played, but bishop d6 and queen d4. Beautiful centralized queen, and look at that queen bishop battery. The knight cannot move from f6 unless it's knight e8. So the knight is completely dominated by our b2 fianchetto bishop, and now the queen as well on the long diagonal. The other bishop is controlling the other long diagonal. So let's just draw an X here. Look at these bishops. This is the power of the bishop pair, and this position, once again, is not a big deal for the computer. So the computer might say 0.20, 0.30, but this position in practice is quite a big deal. it is difficult for black to play because he doesn't have any active plans. He has to be passive, he has to be waiting, and he has to be defending. So I love this position. I think in practice this position is just, you either make a draw or you win, but you have quite a big percentage to win. And also it's almost like zero risk because black cannot do anything. So you cannot really lose this position unless you blunder. Queen e8 was played, and yes, the a4 pawn is hanging. So what shall we do about that? Tell me, what would you do about the a4 pawn? Let's see the moves you guys have mentioned. e4, of course, is a very tempting move because we are threatening e5. But always pay attention that, yeah, it's good to threaten something, but the bishop can move away. The knight, of course, is stuck on f6, but what about bishop c5? And now, what is this position? This position is that our queen is hanging, plus the a4 the a4 pawn is still hanging, and how to deal with that? You must retreat the queen. So let's say queen d1 in order to protect this pawn, right? But that means that now that the e4 pawn is hanging, it can be captured because our queen is no longer on the long diagonal. There's no more g7 mate. So whoa, suddenly our position collapses. Careful about active moves. This is my advice. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's great to be active, but sometimes you must be patient. Okay, maybe not sometimes. Many times you must be patient. The a4 pawn is hanging, so protect it. I stopped in this moment because I know that bishop d1 is an ugly move. It's really ugly. But you've got to defend this pawn on a4. And since your position will be better 20-30 moves later as well, if you don't change it dramatically, it means that you can play bishop d1, and maybe next move you go bishop b3, which is a bad move. But what I want to say is that you have plenty of time to move around with the bishops. You can go bishop c3, bishop a1, bishop b2. It's pointless, of course, but what you need to understand is that in these positions you shouldn't rush. e4 is something that we want to play on the long run, but if the a4 pawn is hanging, deal with it first and prepare for e4 later. So bishop d1 protecting the pawn, and this bishop looks ugly, but next move we will activate it with bishop c2, and from c2 you will see that our bishop is protecting the a4 pawn and prepares e4. So that's a great spot for the bishop, and look at those bishops now. Look at this one and this one. Attacking the black king. This knight cannot go away from f6. It's so scary. And in this position, as before, it's very difficult for black to make a move, because yes, he can make moves like bishop f8. This is the computer suggestion, but what are you doing? I mean, there's no plan. So basically the computer wants to go bishop f8 and bishop e7 and bishop f8. But we are humans. We don't want to just go back and forth without a plan and wait for the opponent to kill us. It's just not the right way to play. I mean, sometimes you have no choice, but normally nobody likes to play like this, that you are not doing anything. We are playing because we want to do something. So even in this position, I think after queen d3, you might just capture at some point on f6 and give mate on h7. So even in a position like this, which is almost an endgame, it's a queen plus 2 bishops, there are mate ideas on g7 and on h7. And black always must pay attention to it. And any move, any pawn move, remember the pawn moves, the pawns are not going backwards, g6 would be already a dubious move because it is weakening the long diagonal. So any weakness that you can provoke from the opponent is great. This did not happen in the game. Instead of bishop f8, Adams went king f8, and now we are ready. The pawn is protected, the bishops are ready, the queen is in the center. Let's go, e4. That was your plan. So this, Wesley was also playing for it. We are threatening with the fork. e5, bishop c5 happened, and after queen d8 check, knight e8, queen d5. And this is the move that you should remember too, because yes, we were attacking the black king, but it doesn't mean that we want to give mate no matter what. You can and you should play for an endgame, so you can exchange queens, because the pair of bishops is extremely powerful in endgames too. If black takes it, he did not, but if he takes it after c takes, you've got the pair of bishops and more space. These pawns can expand so much. You bring the king before you start pushing the pawns. I would first of all bring the king. You can bring it from here as well. Don't blunder your pawns, push it before it's captured. But just as I said before, be patient. So improve your position little by little. Bring the king, activate the king, push those pawns, and this position, I think in practice, is winning, because it's so difficult to play against the bishop pair in open positions or positions where the diagonals are important, and this is one of those positions. So here I would not want to be black ever. It's too passive. There's nothing to do as black. White will not have any weakness on dark squares, and that's where the c5 bishop is. So once you start pushing your pawns, black will have no targets at all. It's just very unpleasant. But if you don't believe me, then I ask you to copy this position and play it against a friend or play it against the computer, because it's really unpleasant, and you can practice this position. I'm serious about this. So make a print screen, write down where the pieces are, and practice this position, either for white, how to win it, or try to survive as black. You can learn a lot from this endgame, but since this is a middle game course, let's just go for the position after queen g6. And now king g2. This is a move you have suggested already, so I did not ask for it. Improving the king, stepping out of the diagonal. Now you can push the f4 pawn. The pawn is not pinned anymore. And after king e7, f4 was played. We are expanding. All the pieces are well placed, so it's time to... What am I doing with those arrows? I wanted to color the queen and the bishops. We are expanding with the pawns. This queen is getting unpleasant on g6. And after c6, queen d3, actually Adams blundered with knight c7. So here the right move is f5, and after queen g5 you must find the winning move. If you haven't seen it, you must find it, and if you have seen it, try to remember, but it's not a memory test. What we are doing here is try to understand what happened in this game. So if you remember the move, try to understand why it is a winning move. It is why to move and win material. The idea has been well spotted. We want to trap the black queen, but careful how to execute it in the most precise way. h4 is very tempting, but it's not trapping the queen because the queen can go to e3. And yes, this is of course a very good endgame. We will exchange queens, and now bishop takes g7, for instance. Let's just see if we are... I hope that we are not losing our bishop. Always take into account that it might be trapped, but if you calculate that the bishop will get out, then this is fine. Or if you don't want to calculate that, just improve the king as usual. And as I said, with the pair of bishops, this endgame is very good, but there's a much better position, so that's why we are not discussing what happens with bishop g7, because instead of h4, the same idea, but not allowing queen e3. How do you attack the g5 queen and not let the queen go to e3? You cannot do it in one move, you must do it in 2 moves. And that's where it's very important to pay attention to hanging pieces. Whenever there's a tactical motive, it's because there are hanging pieces. I mean, by hanging pieces, I mean not the piece that is hanging right now, but pieces that are unprotected. So yeah, instead of hanging, I should say pieces that are not protected. You should always keep them in your mind. This is an alert, like c7 knight. c7 knight is an unprotected piece, and the g5 queen could be trapped. So if you combine those two ideas, you come up with the move bishop e5. The knight is attacked, the knight must move, and after the knight moves away, we will play bishop f4, not allowing queen e3. The queen has to go to g4 or h5, and then you go bishop d1 and you will win the queen. So let's just place it on the board because it's beautiful. Bishop f4, queen moves, and bishop d1. And it doesn't help that he can go to f5, sorry, to f6, because after e5, this queen is still trapped. Look at those pawns, how powerful they are. This is, I find it very funny. The queen normally is not trapped on f6, but here it is. It's just an incredible position. So bishop e4 is a winning move, and of course Wesley So found this move, he played it, and he won this game because there's just no way to escape here. You will either lose your queen or the piece. I think knight e6 was played, but after f takes e6, this is lost. You cannot do anything because if queen takes e5, then it's a mate. Or, well, if not mate, then this is just horrible, horrible, horrible. But yeah, it's a mate. Let's just place it. Which mate do you want to give? Bishop d1 or queen f3? I like bishop d1. I hope that you like this game. What you should remember from it is, first of all, the pair of bishops is really powerful in the middle game and also in the end game. So threatening to exchange queens is actually one of the tools you can use. He played queen d5, improving the queen's position, because black could not go for this endgame. Let's go back to this moment. You have the pair of bishops. We were improving our position little by little. So remember that when the opponent has no useful moves, you have all the time in the world to play king g2, bishop b2, tiny little moves that you may think that they are not doing much, but any small improvement is fine, and making the opponent nervous or stressed out or upset about his position, you should play for the psychology as well. So this is a competition where both what you know about chess matters and also how you use it. So be clever about these psychological factors as well. And secondly, as I said, you can exchange queens because all the endgames with the pair of bishops are brilliant unless the position is very close. So any position where there are open diagonals are good for you, especially if there are pawns on both flanks. That's where the bishops are very happy. Pawns on both flanks, but even with a few pawns on the king side, it would still be unpleasant. So just keep in mind that endgames are good for you with the pair of bishops and the middle games too. Remember also that with opposite color bishops, if you are attacking, then it's like a virtual piece up. That's why queen takes c4 was not possible in this position. If you remember this line, it was this position is a lot better because even if we just win back the pawn, so this is material equality, white's pieces are very active and black's are very passive because we have an extra piece in the attack and the c5 bishop cannot defend. So this is also winning on the long run. You can practice this position too. And before I say goodbye, I want to show you one position, not the whole game, but one position from Annan's game. Of course, you can play through the whole game, but we don't have time for that because there's a show coming up very soon, the Lernstunde with Melanie, and I hope I pronounce it well. My German is terrible. So before that, I will quickly show you the position that I loved from this game. Of course, the whole idea with this Queen e2 castle prepared by Vishy Anand, it was so unpleasant for Maxime, who is an expert on the Najdorf. So this is a Najdorf with the d5 pawn sacrifice. It's a very theoretical line, and Vishy found this Queen e2 castle idea, which is what, it's not like a novelty because it was played before, but it was played very few times, maybe once before this game, and nobody took it seriously. And Vishy found this idea once again, rediscovered this idea, and decided that it was a serious matter, this position, because he said that even if black wins back the pawn, because this is a pawn up actually for white, this position, it's a mess because it's castling opposite flanks, so you know that black will be attacking the white king, white will be trying to either attack the black king or go for an endgame. So with a pawn up, he would want to play an endgame, of course, and he has a pair of bishops too. But this position is so complex. Black might win back the d5 pawn, but Vishy said that it takes time. So even if it will be material equality, it takes time for black to recover the pawn, and he was very confident about this position. He analyzed it, and Maxime was caught out of the book. So that's really unpleasant in a position like this. Sorry for my voice, I think I got a cold, so I'm trying to speak. It's not so easy. All these moves are fine, but I want to show you this position where it gets really critical after bishop takes, knight takes d5. And Vishy decided that it was so important for him to keep the bishop and keep it with a tempo. So instead of going bishop d4, which is the normal move here, he went for an exchange sacrifice. He takes on d5, rook takes d5, and the point of all this is that he sacrifices a rook for having a bishop and two pawns. So this is the pair of bishops, but it's an exchange down. Bishop and two pawns, it should roughly mean that it's the value of a rook. But here I prefer white because of the pair of bishops. So even if the material is more or less equal, this position is annoying. And you will see how easily Vishy won this game after exchanging the after sacrificing the exchange, not exchanging the sacrifice. Rook d6, a5, queen b5, and queen e2. Once again, aiming for an endgame, because this position could be problematic if black manages to play something like knight a4 or capture on e4. This bishop would be hanging at some point. Don't blunder back rank mate, but there are so many ideas in connection with the white king being somewhat weak. It is black who is attacking on the queen side, and black has a very advanced attack in comparison to white's. So you want to play an endgame. That's why queen e2 is a very important move. This is how you keep your king safe. Exchange queens. Without the queens, this position is safe. And even if black did not exchange queens, like queen d7, after bishop f3, once again, you want to exchange queens. You will play queen e7, and either the queens are exchanged or the queen will be so annoying on the 7th rank. So this position with the pair of bishops on the long diagonals is very unpleasant. After queen e2, queen takes e2 was played, and now rook d1 check, king a2, and this is the moment where Maxime made a mistake. He had to take the bishop on e4. You just have to eliminate the bishop pair, but of course it's not an easy decision either, because you have to be passive. White is threatening rook e7, and if you play like rook d7, this position is very comfortable for white. You can improve your position little by little. That's what I like. The bishop on d4, you prepare c3, b4, you bring the king, and you have these 3 pawns against 1 pawn on the queen side. So white has a clear plan. You want to create a passed pawn on the queen side. And black, what do you do as black? It's just not easy. You have 2 rooks, but the rooks need open fires and activity, and your rooks are not active. So I understand from Maxime's point of view that he did not like this position much. It is close to equal, maybe it's equal, but I believe that it's easier for white to play this position. Instead, rook e8 was a mistake, and the reason why this is a mistake is very beautiful. Look at this, bishop f3. You're just exchanging rooks, so you are in exchange down. You have 2 pawns and the bishop, but you are exchanging all the pieces. You want to play an endgame, and the reason is, first of all, the bishop pair is very powerful in the endgame as well, if not more powerful, because there are less pieces on the board. And after rook c1, there's an extra thing in favor of exchanging everything. The a5 pawn. This pawn is a potential queen, and it's so easy to make it a queen. Look at this, bishop f3, and it's impossible to avoid the idea of a bishop sacrifice. So white will be a full rook down, but there will be no one stopping the a pawn. Look at this, it doesn't matter what black does. Maxime took on c2. Bishop takes b7, and he resigned. Black resigned here because there's just no way stopping this pawn. It's a6, a7, a8. How restless, how bad this knight on b7 is. It cannot do anything. So there's just no way to jump in a way to prevent a7, a8. It's such a beautiful position, and I wanted to show it to you. Even if you have seen this game, look at the bishops, because we are focusing on the bishop pair. This is the power of the bishop pair. Look at those bishops. Remember the previous game too, of course, Wesley's game, that was also about the power of the bishops, but look at this one too. Power of the bishops plus passed pawn. So you can even sometimes give up a full piece, or in this case a full rook, for a passed pawn like this. On a6, there's no one, no piece that can stop it. I hope that you like these examples. I was really impressed. Once again, I must emphasize that I was very impressed by the whole event. So these are some of my favorite games. I have many favorite games. There were so many brilliant games, so many exciting ones. As I said, even the draws were very much exciting games, hard-fought battles. And I chose these two because of the topic that we are discussing the whole month, the bishop pair. So I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something from these games. Also, tell me please in the chat and also in a YouTube comment which games are your favorite. I have more favorite ones too, but these are the ones I could show you today. And before I let Melanie go live with her show, I just wanted to say that this month there will be no more Miss Strategies Middlegame show, because I have 2 trips coming up. I will soon let you know about them on Twitter and Facebook, so follow me on Facebook and Twitter to know more about what's going on, where am I heading to, why I will not be here. So since there will be no more shows, I wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whether you are in Europe as me or if you are from a different religion. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season and a happy new year. I will see you in January, and now it is time for me to say goodbye. See you in 2017. I wish the best of luck for your chess, that you will improve a lot in the coming year as well, and of course a lot of happiness and health, because those are even more important than improving at chess. Now it's time for Melanie's show. I believe it's about the bad bishop, so it's a topic that is connected to our one as well. It's about the bishop, bad bishop. If you speak German, then definitely tune into Du bist Lernstunde der schlechte Läufer. I hope that I pronounced it well. And I will see you in 2017. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, because I have an event coming up and you will be able to follow me live during that event. I will announce it very soon. Follow me on Facebook